So, we have a nice bit of British beef served up on a plate on Saturday. One of those nice sirloin steaks you can get from the shops. The butcher told me it's currently marinated at the moment and it's getting juicier day by day. We have Fabio Wardley versus David Adeleye for the British Heavyweight Championship. Or do I mean steak? Nah, I'm playing around. But the fight is taking place on the Tyson Fury undercard. To me, this is the main event fight, especially in boxing terms. We have all the main ingredients for this to be an absolute sizzler. The tension between both men has built up slowly, like it's just been simmering away. As we've got closer to the fight, the intensity has blown up. We've seen a load of war of words, scuffles between both teams, and we've even seen Fabio Wardley being floored. There hasn't been heavyweight beef quite like it since Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte, where both men just want to go at it inside and outside the ring. I think the mental war is definitely a big factor in this fight, and I do see it playing out in it. Both men have got under each other's skin. Both men have rattled each other. But if I was going to pick a winner in the psychological bracket, I definitely would pick Adeleye. Something to me just looks a bit off with Wardley's body language. He turned away first in the face-off they had. I know you can't really take too much away from face-offs, but that's definitely something. And just to add to that, he's also been floored. So that's something that would also just be sunk away in your head and could potentially play away in the fight. You can tell that both men want this fight so bad. They don't want to lose their zeros. Not just that, but I do think there's a lot of ego and pride at play here. Neither man wants the humiliation of being knocked out in front of all their fans, all their homeboys, because we've got a bit of street talk going here too. Out of the two men, Wardley is definitely the more experienced in the pro ranks. He's had the more tests, and he's also just got the better names on the resume. Wardley has a record of 16-0 with 15 wins coming by way of knockout. He's a very spiteful puncher when you get him going. David Adeleye has a record of 12-0 with 11 wins coming by way of knockout. Adeleye hasn't really been tested to the same degree as Fabio Wardley. He hasn't got the names on the resume, apart from a few European fighters he's fought recently, but they're a bit obscure and we don't really know too much about them. How good are they really? But he did have a very good amateur pedigree and had a lot of fights up and coming before his professional career. Whereas Fabio Wardley, he grew in the white collar circuit. So he's definitely the more rough and rugged fighter. He only then just came up after a few spars with Dillian Whyte, and Dillian Whyte then took him under his wing. When you look at this fight on paper, I think a lot of people just see Fabio Wardley breezing through this, but I actually think this is a much closer fight, and I think either man on their day can get burnt. Oh mate, it's a good one. A proper 50-50. As for the fight, I think if Wardley can box and move, I could potentially see him winning a points decision. He's got a great jab behind him. I can see him using that a lot in a contest, just keeping it out in Adelaye's face to just keep that vision occupied. And he's also got a great overhand right. I think Adeleye is a much tougher fighter than anyone Wardley has faced up till now. Taking him out is going to be tough. It's not out of the realms of impossibility, but it's definitely going to be a tough night's work. I think in order for Wardley to take Adeleye out, he's going to have to take him into deep waters and drown him. Wardley definitely looks the more quicker fighter out of the two. He's got the quicker hands, he's got the quicker feet. So I definitely think this sort of style would be best implemented. As for Adeleye, I see him applying pressure and moving forward. Out of the two of them, I think Adeleye is the bigger, stockier and stronger fighter. So I think he's going to go in there to bully Wardley. Adeleye is definitely great at picking his punches. He's got a good jab behind him. He uses his feints well. He's got some good body work behind him, especially when he's got people pinned up to the ropes, even in the centre ring. And he's got some powerful left hooks and overhand rights that he also implements in most contests. Once Adeleye starts going with his hooks against those ropes, oh boy, he really does go to town. So Wardley definitely needs to make sure that he stays away from those ropes and circles out whenever he ends up in that sort of position. I think if they both trade early doors, which could potentially happen, it's going to be an early night's work for either man. So for my prediction, I think that this fight is definitely going to end up in a stoppage. Anyway, look here, I just can't see it going any further. The reason I say that is because neither man has been down that 10 or 12 round stretch yet. Both men are always just very hungry for the knockout. When they see blood or smell blood, they just go for it. I would be very shocked if this fight does go to points. I did say Fabio Wardley, if he was to win, he'd probably need to win by points, but I just can't see that happening. Both men have power. We've seen it in both men's bouts. It's undeniable. But if I was to edge it to anybody, I'd probably give the power sort of status to Adeleye. He just seems to have that more naturally instilled power, whereas Fabio Wardley has that speed, and speed kills. As for the winner, I think I'm going to go with Adeleye. And the reason I say that is because I think Adeleye is the more polished fighter out of the two, and Wardley is still quite raw. I think defense is quite a key thing in this fight, and we've seen with Fabio Wardley that he's been buzzed on numerous occasions, especially in a lot of his last few outings. I just think his defense is just a little bit too leaky for me. I know the man bounces back with vengeance. That red mist just takes over, and he just goes out and slings bombs and takes the men out. But that can only work a handful of times, and there's going to come a point where you're going to meet another guy that can do the same, but also defend themselves equally as better, if not better, and also counter you back. I think I see this fight ending in the mid rounds, maybe 5-7. Both men haven't gone any longer than 6, and I just don't see the contest stretching out any longer, to be honest. So if I am going to pick a round, I think I'm going to go with Adeleye, the 6th round, by stoppage. Don't get me wrong, it is a 50-50. Lots of people are on the fence on this. They're not sure who's going to win. A lot of people picking Fabio Wardley. A lot less people picking David Adeleye. But for me, I just think he looks the more polished fighter, and I think he gets the job done. But anyway, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you in the next one. Bash!